Chapter 00516 Levels. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xianxia nodded. You'd better collect the materials for the violent ape first. Xianxia handed a jade bottle to Xianxia. Looking at your strong body, you should need the blood of monsters to make materials to cultivate your body, right? I collected this when the violent ape was not dead. The other materials have not yet been collected. Come on. After hesitating for a moment, Xianxia collected the hard work of the violent ape, and then began to clean up the corpse of the violent ape. Xianxia took out the crystal core of the violent ape, and after looking at it, he found that it was a 5th-level monster crystal core. This situation made Xianxia pay more attention to Shuyu, and he killed the 5th-level one as soon as he entered the 4th level. Monster beast, this fighting power is too terrifying. After collecting the guts and tendons of the violent ape, Xianxia sent them to Xianxia along with the crystal core. I want this violent ape liner. You can take the crystal core and ape tendon. Xianxia said after collecting the violent ape liner. Xianxia did not refute, and put the crystal core and ape tendon into the storage ring, then turned to look at the area that Xianxia pointed at just now. Let's go there. The wound on your back is open. It's hard to tell what's going on over there. Let's heal it first. Xianxia threw a bottle of elixir to Xianxia, then went to the side to meditate. Xianxia turned around just now, and she saw Xianxia. The area on the back of the robe was soaked with blood. After hearing Xianxia's words, Xianxia really felt a pain in his back. He untied his outer robe and wanted to apply some trauma medicine, but he couldn't reach it after several attempts. In desperation, Xianxia could only give up and put on his outer robe after covering the elixir bottle. Turn around, let me help you. Xianxia came to Xianxia again. Smiling at Xianxia, Xianxia turned around, then turned his back to Xianxia, holding the elixir bottle. Xianxia asked Xianxia to bend over, and she sprinkled medicinal powder on the wound on Xianxia's back. After the wound came into contact with the medicinal powder, Xianxia felt severe pain and screamed immediately. Don't scream when you are injured, and don't scream when the wound is open. Isn't it too fake to scream now? Xianxia kicked Xianxia's calf. Can you have some sympathy? Xianxia was helpless. He just wanted to gain some sympathy. Is this wrong? After Xianxia helped Xianxia apply trauma medicine, Xianxia put on his clothes. I heard you said you would leave after staying in Qingyun sect for 3 years. Why, don't you like Qingyun sect? Xianxia looked at Xianxia and asked. I don't have any likes or dislikes. It's because I don't like some people and things in my family, so I came here with a family elder. After my family elders communicated with the sect leader, I stayed here. My elder said that after 3 years it's been 2.5 years since I picked you up. Xianxia rarely talked about his situation. They are all people with stories. Xianxia said with emotion. What's the matter with you not seeing your parents? Xianxia still remembered Xianxia's words. Xianxia pulled the robe on his back to avoid rubbing the wound. I grew up with an old man. He originally said that I was adopted. He left a year ago. Before he left, he told me that I was his. It was dug out of a grave. My family thought I was dead and buried me, so that's about it. He is also a person with stories. Xianxia returned Xianxia's words. Because it was getting late, Xianxia and Xianxia did not move. They both meditated on the spot. Xianxia took the Ning Yuan pill to cultivate his vitality and heal his injuries. He had been fighting a lot recently, and his vitality improved quickly. He felt that it wouldn't take long to reach the 3rd level. At dawn, Xianxia opened his eyes and saw Xianxia walking in from the outside, obviously freshening up. To the west, there is a creek more than 3 miles away. Go and wash it. Don't get water on the wound. After reminding Xianxia, Xianxia continued to meditate. Xianxia came to the creek that Xianxia mentioned, jumped into the creek, avoided the wound, cleared himself, changed into a clean robe, and then returned to the attic where Xianxia was, and then just looked for something to make a fire and get some food. Don't light a fire. We don't know what's in the east area yet, so we can't make a big noise. If you feel it's okay, we'll go there. Xianxia stood up and stopped Qin Chu from starting a fire. It shouldn't be a big problem. The violent ape is a 5th level, leader level monster. It has a fixed area. Other monsters cannot live in this range, but I still listen to you. Qin Chu gave up making a fire, although he had his own reasons, but he thought it was better to respect Xianxia and there was no need to have conflicts. You make sense, but have you ever thought about what if this violent ape is a subordinate of other high-level monsters? Xianxia looked at Qin Chu and added. Qin Chu didn't say anything else, because Xianxia's theory existed, but if there really was a monster higher than the violent ape, they would probably have been eaten by the monster by now. Then Qin Chu and Xianxia walked towards the east, which was the area where Xianxia was blocked by the violent ape, unable to let women take risks. Qin Chu walked in front, looking around from time to time to identify the smell, but except for the breath of Bao Yuan, Qin Chu didn't smell any other smell. Entering the courtyard of an attic building, Qin Chu's eyes widened. He saw a woman wearing a purple skirt. The woman was lying sideways on the ground, without any movement or breath. Qin Chu turned around and looked at Xianxia, who looked at the woman without any expression. After Qin Chu looked at the woman lying on the ground again, he found that her chest was somewhat heaving, so he stepped forward, stretched out his hand and tried to breathe. After trying it for a while, Qin Chu felt that the woman still had breath. Qin Chu knelt down, helped the woman up, leaned against him, and then took out the elixir for the woman to eat. Although he didn't know whether he was an enemy or a friend, he was still alive and it was inappropriate not to save him in the face of death. After taking Qin Chu's elixir for a while, the woman opened her eyes and looked at Qin Chu. Then she broke away from Qin Chu's support, sat up straight and looked at Qin Chu. Who are you? Are you okay? Qin Chu asked. Thank you for the help, I'm fine. The woman nodded to Qin Chu, then looked at Xianxia, her eyes a little cold. Qin Chu looked at this woman. He felt that this woman was also very beautiful, with a coquettish beauty, but there was something wrong with the way she looked at Xianxia. You were injured by Bao Yuan, right? Bao Yuan has been killed by my uncle and senior sister. You are safe now. Qin Chu said. The woman in the purple skirt looked at Xianxia again, then withdrew her gaze and looked at Qin Chu. You are a good person, and good people will be rewarded. At this time, Xianxia winked at Qin Chu, indicating that Qin Chu was leaving. Qin Chu nodded, left some healing medicine for the woman, and then stood up. At this time, the woman took Qin Chu's arm and stood up straight. What's your name? After standing firm, the woman looked at Qin Chu and asked. My name is Qin Chu. Qin Chu said his name. After patting Qin Chu's shoulder, the woman flashed away and it was flying. Qin Chu was confused. Flying, only cultivators who have reached the 6th level can fly. Now this woman can fly. Xianxia's expression also became unnatural. Qin Chu, that violent ape is her subordinate. Chapter 0052 Who is not in the mainstream? You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Is the violent ape a subordinate of this woman? Qin Chu looked at Xianxia with surprise. The monster transformed. She is a monster that has just broken through to the 6th level. Because she has just transformed, she is weak, which is how we saw her falling to the ground. Xianxia said. Are you sure? Qin Chu still didn't believe it. That woman was so beautiful, how could she be a monster? Xianxia nodded. It's basically certain, because her aura has not completely transformed yet, and is still a little different from humans, but it will be transformed soon. She is hostile to me, and there is murderous intent in her eyes, because I kill. 6th level, isn't it too scary? Qin Chu rubbed his forehead. The Qinhuang ancient ruins have existed for a long time. It is normal for monsters with extraordinary talents to grow up here in the early days. Xianxia said. She was also greatly shocked, but because of her cold temperament, so not as strong as Qin Chu's performance. Maybe you are right. Qin Chu said. Huh? What's on your waist? Xianxia looked at Qin Chu's waist with his beautiful eyes. after listening to Shang Shuyu's words, Qin Chu lowered his head and looked at his waist. At this time, there was a diamond-shaped jade inserted in his belt. What is this? Qin Chu took out the token. Shang Shuyu took a step forward and studied the jade with Qin Chu. When Qin Chu came, there was nothing around his waist. After looking at it for a while, Qin Chu and Shang Shuyu looked at each other. They had already determined what this diamond-shaped jade stone was. It was the Qin Wang Ling. Before coming, the senior officials of the Qin sect emphasized the shape and characteristics of the Qin Wang token to the disciples who entered the Qin Wang ancient ruins. Now the jade token in Qin Chu's hand has the word Qing on the front and the word Ling behind it. Isn't this the Qin Wang token? What's your order? She should have inserted it into your belt when she pulled your arm to stand up. Shang Shuyu said. We got this together. When we return to the sect and exchange it for points, I will tell the sect that I will give you half of it. Qin Chu said after putting away the Qin Wang Ling. Qin Chu, there are some things you don't know. The sect has not told any of its disciples. The third-generation patriarch of the Qin sect said that whoever retrieves the Qin Wang order will automatically become the leader of the Qin Wang order, which is equivalent to the sect leader of the Qin sect. So you don't have to pay for it for the time being. The Qin sect is in chaos now, and the Qin Wang order is more involved. Shang Shuyu looked at Qin Chu and said. Why are you telling me this? How do you know this? Qin Chu looked at Shang Shuyu, and he felt more and more that Shang Shuyu was not simple. I went to see Mr. Mo and wanted to learn his Jingxian sword technique, but he didn't teach it to me. He should have taught it to you because you have the sword spirit realm. Later, I learned Taishan Ling's swordsmanship, and he knew that my ambition was not in the Qin sect, so he told me something, and it was he who asked me to put down my cultivation and participate in the Qin Wang ancient relics training. Shang Shuyu said to Qin Chu. If you don't hand it in, what can I do to make up for your points? Qin Chu felt that what Shang Shuyu said was not a lie. Not many people knew about the Jingshenzhian Ju. I don't care, let's go look elsewhere and see if we can gain anything. Shang Shuyu entered the attic after saying that. Qin Chu followed Shang Shuyu into the attic, but the attic was empty, with nothing left behind. With no results, Qin Chu and Shang Shuyu went to other areas of Baixing Tower. The area of Baixing Tower is very large, and each area records a fallen strong man. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. Qin Chu and Shang Shuyu passed through the Baixing Tower area and arrived behind the Baixing Tower. At this time, they saw a large hall. There are 2 words written on the lintel of the main hall, King Qing. Qingwang Hall, this should be the core area of Qingwang's historic sites. Shang Shuyu said. Then let's investigate. After the investigation is completed, it's time for me to meet up with the others. Qin Chu said. You and others had agreed to gather in 5 days, and now 4 days have passed. Entering the Qingwang Hall, Qin Chu and Shang Shuyu saw a chair in the hall, with a sword inserted in the right front of the chair. Shang Shuyu glanced at Qin Chu, and Qin Chu made a gesture of invitation to Shang Shuyu. He knew that the long sword might be a sword, but he had already taken the Qin Wang Ling, so it was not appropriate to get the sword again. After glancing at Qin Chu, Shang Shuyu walked to the seat, stretched out his hand to hold the long sword, and was about to pull it out. A clear sound came out, and the long sword trembled violently. Shang Shuyu was knocked back and retreated to his original position. The long sword was still vibrating, and then an illusory figure appeared. The illusory figure looked at Shang Shuyu and Qin Chu. Who are you? The illusory figure spoke. Inner disciple of the Qin sect, Shang Shuyu. Shang Shuyu clasped his fists at the illusory figure. After hearing Shang Shuyu announce his identity, Qin Chu felt a little embarrassed. He thought that the handyman disciple was not ashamed, but after reporting his identity, still a little bit overwhelmed. Having no other choice, Qin Chu clasped his fists at the phantom and said, Qin Chu, a handyman disciple of Qin sect, Qingzhu Peak. Now the handyman disciples can practice to the 2nd level peak. You are not very old. The phantom figure looked at Qin Chu and said. Qin Chu didn't speak, what could he say? It is true that the handyman disciples are disciples of Qin sect, but they are not as important as the inner disciples and core disciples. Before Qin Chu could reply, the illusory figure waved his arm, and the long sword inserted on the ground rose into the air to kill Shang Shuyu. Shang Shuyu took a step back, unsheathed his sword, and started fighting with the sword that was attacking her. Qin Chu took a step back and watched carefully. At this time, Shang Shuyu was at a disadvantage, but he was not without the ability to fight back. The arms of the illusory figure were swinging, and the long sword flying in the air seemed to be in the hands of a cultivator, constantly attacking Shang Shuyu. Half a cup of tea later, Shang Shuyu was shocked to the door of the hall. The time for half a cup of tea is rare, very rare. The illusory figure looked at Shang Shuyu and said. Shang Shuyu clasped his fists at the illusory figure. She knew it was a test. Although you have come to this hall, you are a low-class handyman, and some things have nothing to do with you. The illusory figure looked at Qin Chu and said. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But what this junior wants to say is that the handyman disciples do not have any status, but it has nothing to do with not being in the mainstream. Being said to be not in the mainstream, Qin Chu felt very unhappy in his heart. Who is not in the mainstream? He doesn't recognize this sentence. Snort. The illusory figure snorted coldly, waved his arm, and slashed towards Qin Chu with his long sword. Ding. Qin Chu drew his sword and used the indestructible sword to block the head-on slash from the illusory figure. At this time, the illusory figure waved its arms, and the long sword struck Qin Chu again. Seeing that the opponent's long sword was attacking again, Qin Chu used his sword intention. The sword intention was added to the long sword, and he used basic sword skills to fight with the long sword that was heading towards him. Unable to keep up with the rhythm, after blocking two swords, Qin Chu found that he still couldn't keep up with the opponent's long sword attack, and the swordsmanship in his hand changed. Kill people, monsters, demons, the sword can reach the gods. With a low roar, Qin Chu entered the sword spirit realm and performed the shocking sword technique. Chapter 0053 It's all a routine. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. After entering the sword spirit realm, Qin Chu appeared in two states. One is the mental state where the person is the sword and the sword is the person, and the other is the true meaning of the sword that empowers the power of the long sword. With the blessing of the sword spirit realm, Qin Chu's stunning sword power came out, and every sword shot was extremely fast. Moreover, because of his strong body and great power, he was not repulsed by the long sword controlled by the illusory figure. Fight with a long sword. After striking out with a few swords, Qin Chu took a step forward. He clashed with the long sword controlled by the illusory figure again several times, and then took another step forward. I don't follow the mainstream. Even if I don't follow the mainstream now, I will never do so in the future. Am I afraid of you? Qin Chu's fierceness has risen. He dares to fight to the death with the demon tiger, and now he won't show any cowardice. The illusory figure withdrew the long sword, then swung his arm, and a burst of energy knocked Qin Chu away, knocking him to the entrance of the hall and directly knocking him to the ground. Holding a long sword in his hand, Qin Chu stood up, his face full of anger. You don't follow the routine. What kind of routine? Who made this routine for you? This is my routine, young man, don't be arrogant. The illusory figure waved his arm, and the long sword that was parked in the air fell into the scabbard beside him. Qin Chu was speechless. This illusory figure obviously didn't like him. With the holy blood in my body is strong. I have understood the sword spirit realm, I have the foundation of swordsmanship, I have mastered the sword intention, and I have started the swordsmanship. It is a good seedling, but a good seedling is rare. It's a pity that I am looking for a successor, not someone like you. Your swordsmanship is different from my philosophy, the elusive figure said. Qin Chu smiled and said, if you don't want to pass it on, I won't pass it on. It doesn't matter. I practice my own swordsmanship. After finishing speaking, Qin Chu looked at Shang Shuyu, then turned around and left the hall. He would not force others if they looked down upon him. Senior, his qualifications are indeed very good. Shang Shuyu said looking at the illusory figure. I know, but he is really not suitable to accept my swordsmanship. There is only one practitioner who has mastered the sword spirit realm in thousands of years. With the sword spirit realm in his body, he will slowly figure out his own swordsmanship. The illusory figure spoke. Then he has practiced other people's sword techniques. Will this have any impact? Xianxia looked outside the hall. The illusory figure shook his head. No. The sword techniques he practiced are just sword techniques. Absorbing the essence from them to strengthen yourself will not affect your own path. However, I am a master of swordsmanship, so I cannot teach it to him. After listening to the illusory figure's words, Xianxia fell silent. It seems that you are also a proud and arrogant girl. You don't have to worry. If one day you understand the sword spirit realm, it will be after accepting my inheritance and adding the sword spirit realm to your past swordsmanship. Performing baptism will recondensate your heart of swordsmanship. Looking at the silent Xianxia, the illusory figure guessed what Xianxia was thinking. In fact, the illusory figure's guess was correct. If he accepted the inheritance, it would affect his future development. No matter how precious the inheritance was, Xianxia would rather not have it. After finishing speaking, the illusory figure flashed in front of Xianxia, and the illusory finger pointed at Xianxia's eyebrows. After a moment, the illusory figure retreated, and the figure became much more illusory again. My inheritance has been imprinted in your mind. It may not all be suitable for you. Just watch and learn what suits you. The illusory figure said to Xianxia. Xianxia bowed to the illusory figure, and the other party passed on the inheritance to her. She was very grateful in her heart. You bastard, come in. The illusory figure shouted outside the hall. Qianchu, who was standing outside the main hall, did not move. He did not want to look at their faces. He did not leave because he wanted to wait for Shuyu. At this time, powerful hands grabbed Qianchu and brought him back to the main hall. He is not big, but he has a bad temper. Qianchu didn't speak. He didn't have the strength, so he could only hold it in. This sword is very powerful. Do you want it? The illusory figure looked at Qianchu. Senior, please tell me your requirements. Qianchu knew that it was hard to get cheap, especially if the other party recognized Xianxia and gave him benefits. He would have to pay the price. Request. I have never thought about it. Since you said it, let me talk about it. You must already know who I am. I am the master of this place. I am a member of the Qingyun sect just like you. So I hope that the Qingyun sect can continue to be passed on, but I will not force you to do anything. I hope that you can contribute more to the Qingyun sect within your own capabilities. The illusory figure said. Then I have no problem. Senior, don't think that I will use the words within my ability to deal with it. I will do as much as I can. Qianchu reached the place where the long sword was, stretched out his hand and pulled the long sword out of its sheath. This itself is a long sword that has given birth to a sword spirit and has entered the 7th level. It may be because I have killed too much. This sword condenses the killing sword spirit. After I became a master of swordsmanship, I discovered this sword. It is no longer suitable for me. Moreover, if it is not resolved, it will become a peerless evil sword. In desperation, I will kill the sword spirit. What kind of sword spirit will appear on this sword in the future depends on who you are. Swordsmanship. Watching Qianchu draw his sword, the elusive figure did not stop him. Senior, don't worry. This junior will live up to this long sword and his reputation during his lifetime. Qianchu put the long sword on his back. Fart. Even if you die, I will not die. This is the ray of soul power left by me. If I die, this ray of soul power will have long since dissipated. Do you understand? After listening to Qianchu's words, the illusory figure cursed directly. Qianchu took 2 steps back. He originally thought that the figure in front of him was the remnant soul of the dead Qin king, but that was not the case at all. I have said what needs to be said. Let's go. The illusory figure waved his hands, and his body slowly faded, and then completely disappeared into nothingness. Xianxia looked at Qin Chu, a pair of beautiful eyes looking at Qin Chu's body. She knew that Qin Chu had high qualifications, but she did not expect that King Qin would think that Qin Chu would have his own swordsmanship. Xianxia, what are you going to do? Qin Chu took a step back. He was still wary of Xianxia in his heart. This woman was really beautiful, breathtakingly beautiful, but she was too cold, so cold that Qin Chu couldn't help but dare to get close. It's nothing, I have to inherit it, and you get the Qinhuangling and the sword. This is fair. Xianxia said to Qin Chu. Since my uncle and senior sister think it's fair, don't look at me with cold eyes. Qin Chu said. Xianxia said nothing, bowed to the hall, and then left the hall. Qin Chu thought for a moment, bowed to the hall, and then exited the hall. Qin Chu, do you know about the holy blood? After leaving the hall, Xianxia looked at Qin Chu. Chapter 0054 I Can't Bear to Leave You. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. What holy blood? Qin Chu pretended to be confused. He didn't want to cause some trouble for no reason. Xianxia came to Qingyun sect from outside. Who knows what the situation was? Xianxia glanced at Qin Chu. I have always been confused about why you are so powerful. It was only after Senior Qin Wang told me that I understood that you are the body of the holy blood. I know a little about the holy blood family. An absolute behemoth. They can easily defeat sects like our Qingyun sect. Not to mention the Qingyun sect, even the entire Nanyan province may not be able to compete with such a force. And you who have the holy blood must be born holy blood family. I might be born with this. Qin Chu felt more and more that it was not easy to marry Shuyu. I'm just telling you what I know. I hope you can understand the concept of holy blood and not have any thoughts or hostility towards you. Let's separate. Xianxia said. She could see that Qin Chu he was wary of her. Qin Chu looked at Xianxia and smiled. We are about to separate. I suddenly feel reluctant to let you go. When can we meet again? After walking a few steps, Xianxia turned around and looked at Qin Chu. Are you reluctant to give up? You are living in a dilemma. On the one hand, you reject me, but on the other hand, you say you are reluctant to let go. I will become a core disciple after I go back, and there will be another period. At that time, the elders of my family will come to pick me up. After you leave Qingyun sect, where will you go next? Are you going back to your family? Qin Chu asked. If you don't want to go back to the family, it's not the time to go back now. Looking at Qin Chu again, Xianxia stepped away and left. People with stories. Qin Chu sighed inwardly, tightened the long sword behind his back, and hurried towards the meeting point with Bai Yu and others. On the way, Qin Chu took out the Qinhuangling again, studied it, and put it back into the storage ring. He felt that he should be careful in handling the Qinhuangling. If he wanted to hand it over, it would be for Mo Daozi and Luo Zhen. The sect's deputy sect leader Su Shanhe. Don't even think about it. Back at the meeting point, Qin Chu saw Bai Yu and others waiting for him. 5 days are too tight. How about not even searching the Baixing Tower area? Bai Yu said to Qin Chu. Qin Chu looked at the other people. Jing Qiu and Lu Shui nodded. Everyone was afraid that others would be worried, so they all rushed back early. There is still plenty of time, so let's take a rest and continue to explore. Now that we are here, let's seize the opportunity. Qin Chu said. After eating something, everyone separated. This time they agreed to meet up in 10 days and then leave the Qinhuang historic site. Bai Yu and others left, and Qin Chu began to practice. He gave up on looking for opportunities. He felt that Qinhuangling and the 7th level long sword once were a great opportunity. It would be pointless to force it anymore, so he might as well seize the time to improve his cultivation. Who knows what will happen after going out, but he killed all the disciples on the main peak. Taking Yuanning Dan, Qin Chu practiced the basics of vitality at night and practiced swordsmanship during the day. He practiced swordsmanship. His main research was on the use of the true meaning of the sword. Seeing Xianxia fighting with the true meaning of swordsmanship, Qin Chu felt that there was a huge gap between him and Xianxia, not even as good as a woman, which shocked him. Qin Chu had already changed his sword and started to use the long sword left by King Qin. The long sword has a name, and the word Qing Ling is engraved on the handle. The long sword is extremely sharp and has a sword glow. When Qin Chu waved his arm, even though he did not have the ability to release his vitality, the Qing Ling sword swept across the fallen leaves. The sword's edge did not touch the fallen leaves, and the Qing Ling sword's own sharpness could cut the fallen leaves apart. Qing Ling sword, you followed Senior Qin Wang in the past, and you should have left behind a legend. You will do the same with me in the future. Qin Chu reached out and flicked the Qing Ling sword. Qin Chu was full of love in his heart. A swordsman must there is a good sword. As for Xianxia receiving the inheritance from King Qing, Qin Chu could only envy him. He knew that everyone's situation was different. King Qing admired Xianxia, which meant that Xianxia had unique strengths. After practicing for 6 days, Qin Chu has become more proficient in the use of sword intention. Sword intention is something that cannot be seen or touched. If you use words to describe it, it means that the long sword has a will, and the sword technique blessed by sword intention is the real sword technique. As for the sword spirit realm, it is a state of mind and an artistic conception. Does not conflict with the true meaning of kendo. Using the sword spirit to enhance the swordsmanship attacks will become sharper and more domineering. Being in the sword spirit realm will make oneself and the sword more spiritual. On the 8th day after Bai Yu and others left, Qin Chu's cultivation reached the bottleneck of the second-order condensing yuan realm. If he wanted to improve his cultivation, he had to break through to the third-order true yuan realm. Qin Chu began to adjust his state. While practicing swordsmanship, he also stabilized his own vitality cultivation. His vitality cultivation had improved too fast, so he had to stabilize it. He also felt that he did not need to be anxious. Before leaving the Qinhuang monument, just rush to the third level when the time comes. After entering the third level, one's own combat effectiveness will be improved, and at the same time, the value will be greater, and he will be valued by the Qinyan sect. If Su Shanhe touches him, Luo Zhen will be more protective of him. On the 10th day, Bai Yu, Xianxia and Lu Xue all came back one after another. Seeing Bai Yu and Lu Xue's excited expressions, Qin Chu knew that they had gained a lot. As for Xianxia and the others, it was not that they had gained nothing, but they were just a little behind. Since everyone is back, we will turn around. Qin Chu made a decision. Okay. Bai Yu, Lu Xue and others nodded. Qin Chu was the captain they truly recognized. It was easier to walk towards the outside. After all, we were walking the same path we had already walked. When he was still a little far away from the exit, Qin Chu stopped and said, "You guys go out first." Why? Bai Yu looked at Qin Chu. My cultivation has reached a bottleneck. I plan to break through and go out. I killed so many people on the main peak. Who knows what will happen after I go out? Those two immortals Su Shanhe and Zhang Ji will definitely target me. Qin Chu said to Bai Yu. You guys go. I'll stay with you. Bai Yu said, how could he leave Qin Chu and go out on his own? We came in together and we have to go out together. As a team from Qingzhou Peak, there is no reason for us to abandon our captain. Zheng Qiu said, while Han Yu and Qiu Zhan shook their heads. Lu Xue looked at Qin Chu and said, Junior brother Qin, you saved my life, and my 3 junior sisters avenged their revenge with your help, so I will advance and retreat with you. Qin Chu didn't say anything. After finding a relatively safe place with a few people, he began to meditate and practice. He was looking forward to the 3rd level. He would release his vitality and kill people with his sword energy. After entering the 3rd level, his combat strength would make a big leap. Chapter 0055 Entering the 3rd level. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. The first level of Ju Yuan realm is the foundation, the second level of condensing Yuan realm is the starting point, and the third level of True Yuan realm is the entry point for practitioners. Entering the third level is a very important step for cultivators, which is why the inner disciples of Qin Yun sect must be at the third level, staying in the shelter of the passage. Qin Chu continued to condense his energy and prepare for the attack on the third level. After practicing for another 3 days, Qin Chu began to break through the barrier. He wanted to condense and compress the gaseous vitality in his dantian into liquid vitality to improve the quality of the vitality. Taking Yuan Ning Dan in his mouth, Qin Chu drew energy into his dantian, and at the same time controlled the vitality in his dantian to rotate rapidly and squeeze them together. Only when the squeezing and condensation reached a certain level, the vitality would change from gaseous to liquid. Vitality, time slipped away little by little. Lu Shui and others were paying attention to Qin Chu and the surrounding environment. Qin Chu, who was making a breakthrough, could not be disturbed. One night passed, Qin Chu's vitality finally changed under his compression, and part of it became liquid vitality. Then, under the assimilation of the transformed liquid vitality, all the gaseous vitality in his dantian was transformed. Breakthrough successful. The vitality completed a qualitative change, and Qin Chu became a cultivator of the third level True Yuan realm, the same level as the inner disciples of the Qin Yun sect. After stabilizing the vitality in his dantian, Qin Chu stood up and stretched his waist. It felt good to have a breakthrough. 2. Congratulations. Bai Yu said happily. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. It's okay. We can go out. Qin Chu said. He had almost found the opportunity, and there was no need to stay any longer. After all, the risks in the Qinhuang ancient ruins were very high, and 6 people had appeared. Can monsters of this level not be dangerous? Under the leadership of Qin Chu, the group walked out of the entrance of Qinhuang's historic site and then out of the circle of light. Seeing Qin Chu, Luozhen waved. Well, they all came out alive. Good. At this time Lei Yin also came over. Lu Shui, where are the others? Only Lu Shui was seen, which made Lei Yin feel very bad. It's them, it's their main peak that's so despicable that they killed several junior sisters. Lu Shui pointed to the area where Su Shanhe was. Being pointed by Lu Shui, Su Shanhe was unwilling. No matter how big or small, please speak clearly. What's going on? Lei Yin glanced at Su Shanhe and asked Lu Shui. The disciples of their main peak bribed our Qianluo peak disciple Sha Han. After entering the Qinhuang ancient ruins, Sha Han found an excuse not to join Qin Chu and others. When he left, the disciple and the 3 junior sisters, he couldn't watch his fellow disciples take risks alone, so he had no choice but to separate from Qin Chu and others and follow Sha Han. What he didn't expect was that after Sha Han reunited with the disciples from the main peak, he attacked the disciples and the junior sister was ruthless and the 3 junior sisters were humiliated and killed. The disciple met Qin Chu and others while escaping, and he was lucky enough to survive. Lu Shui looked at Su Shanhe, Zhang Ji and others with hatred in their eyes. These are all your one-sided words. I will investigate when Lu Nan and others come out. Su Shanhe's expression changed. He insulted a fellow female disciple. This crime is not a small one and must be punished. Lu Shui said nothing, waiting for Lu Nan and others to come out. Then just wait. Luozhen asked Qin Chu and others to rest first and return to Qingzhou Peak later. People from the Qingyun sect, who came together, must go back together. There are still many disciples who have not come out. Not to mention other peaks, not a single disciple from the main peak has come out, so we have to wait. Half a day passed and Shang Shuyu came out. Shang Shuyu, who had changed into a light blue skirt, still looked so fresh and refined. Where are Shang Shuyu, Lu Nan and the others? Su Shanhe asked. I didn't follow them all the way, so I don't know. After Shang Shuyu finished speaking, he stood aside and didn't talk to anyone else. Later, disciples from other peaks appeared one after another, but without a complete team, they all suffered great losses. Qin Chu ignored these and kept meditating to stabilize his cultivation. Half a month later, the heavy fog in the basin became thick again, because the time when the Qinhuang monument was born was coming to an end, and it would slowly sink into the ground. In other words, the people who did not come out would not be able to come out. Of course, if you have the ability, you can survive until the next time the Qinhuang ancient monument is opened. Qin Chu, where are the men and horses on our main peak? The Qinhuang monument was immediately closed. Except for Shang Shuyu, none of the disciples on the main peak came out, which made Su Shanhe and Zhang Ji anxious. What are you shouting at me? You look for me when your disciple from the main peak disappears. Am I just coaxing the child? Qin Chu stood up and stared at Su Shanhe. His words were not polite at all. What kind of deputy sect leader is Mao? I don't recognize this now. Lu Shui said that the main peak disciples had a conflict with her and then met you, which means you have met them. Su Shanhe looked at Qin Chu and said, he described Lu Nan and others' pursuit of Lu Shui as a conflict. His face, it's not red at all, it's extremely thick. Have you seen it before? What's the matter? If you want to find someone, then Peak Master Su can send people in to look for him. Before Qin Chu could reply, Lei Yin spoke. The 3 female disciples of Qianluo Peak were dead, because the main peak the disciples' despicable methods are gone, but she is still very angry. Just when Su Shanhe was about to say something, a figure rushed out of the thick fog. It was a woman wearing a purple skirt and flew out. The woman flew diagonally above the area where the Qinyan sect's men and horses were, stopped for a moment, looked at Qin Chu, and then disappeared with 2 flashes of her body. The expressions of Su Shanhe, Zhang Ji, and several peak masters of the Qinyan sect changed, and they walked in the air. This was a method used by 6th-level cultivators, and it was a height that none of them could reach. Qin Chu and Shang Shuyu looked at each other. The woman in the purple skirt they had seen was the woman Qin Chu fed the elixir and rescued. She was the 6th-level monster that Shang Shuyu said, a transformed woman. The woman ducked away, and her appearance resolved the conflict between Lei Yin and Su Shanhe. Because she posed too great a threat, the Qinyan sect's subordinates could only put aside the conflict temporarily. Not long after the woman left, a roaring sound was heard, and then the shadows of the halls and the thick fog disappeared. The Qinhuang historic site was officially closed, and the Qinyan sect disciples were already cold when they didn't come out. Ignoring Su Shanhe, Zhang Ji and others, Luo Zhen took Qin Chu and others, Lei Yin took Lu Shui, and the group left the basin. Lu Shui, please tell me the detailed situation. Lei Yin said to Lu Shui. This time Qian Luo phone was cheated, and she was not going to endure it. Lu Shui told the story of being tricked and the reason for her escape. She had to say this, because if she didn't explain it clearly, her innocence would be unclear. Despicable and shameless, now the main peak is completely despicable. Lei Yin's face was filled with anger. Peak Master, don't be angry. Their troops were wiped out and they paid the price. Lu Shui said. The whole army was wiped out. Master Lei Peak looked at Qin Chu and then at Lu Shui. Lu Shui nodded. She understood the doubts in Lei Yin's heart. It's okay for everyone to know some things, but it's not good to say them out. Chapter 0056. It's so outrageous. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Qin Chu didn't say anything either. He had done some things, but it was better not to make it public. Perhaps one of those people was related to an important figure in the Qinyan sect. If the matter was clarified, it might cause unnecessary trouble. Lei Yin didn't say anything more, but she was shocked in her heart. She knew very well that Lu Nan and the others were core disciples before, but they had lowered their cultivation to the peak of the 3rd level. Their cultivation was lower, but their combat skill comprehension was still at the 4th level. It can be said that he had 4th level combat power, but he was still killed by Qin Chu. After returning to Qinyan sect, the group of people separated. Lei Yin took Lu Shui back to Qianluo Peak, Luo Zhen took Xingqiu, Han Yu and Qiu Zhan to Qingzhou Peak Hall, while Qin Chu and Bai Yu returned to Qingzhou Peak Hall. Housekeeping compound. After returning to the handyman compound, Pang brought a table of food and wine to celebrate Qin Chu and Bai Yu. I got something good. In Baixing Tower, I got a swordsmanship book called Tianshan Swordsman. Head, take it and study it. Bai Yu took out a book and pushed it to Qin Chu. This matter he didn't tell Xianxia, Han Yu and Qiu Zhan because their friendship wasn't to that level. Qin Chu pushed the classics back to Bai Yu. Brother, I am very grateful to you for having such a heart. During this trip to Qinhuang's ancient ruins, I understood the true meaning of swordsmanship. This is a great harvest. Next, I will take my time. Research, and there are some other gains. That's right, the true meaning of swordsmanship is enough for you to study for a while. Let's drink. Bai Yu interrupted Qin Chu's words. Qin Chu thought for a while and said nothing more. He told Bai Yu some things, which may not necessarily be a good thing, but may be trouble. Lei Yin took Lu Shui back to Qianluo Peak. Tell me the detailed story. After hesitating for a moment, Lu Shui told how Qin Chu killed Lu Nan and others, and also how Qin Chu cultivated the true meaning of swordsmanship. This guy is so unbelievable. Lu Nan and others deserve to be unlucky when they meet him. That Xianxia, don't worry too much about her. She will not be involved in these things of Qinyan sect. The true meaning of swordsmanship. I didn't expect Qin Chu to be able to understand it. True meaning, 2 disciples appeared in Qinyan sect who understood the true meaning of swordsmanship in a short period of time, but one is not interested in Qinyan sect and the other is a handyman disciple. What is going on? Lei Yin pinched the bridge of his nose, a little confused. She couldn't figure it out either. Peak Master, this disciple owes Qin Chu a favor and asks the Peak Master to keep these secrets for him. Lu Shui said. She felt that Qin Chu was a very good friend and she did not want to betray Qin Chu. Lei Yin nodded. There are things people do and things they don't do. In this regard, you have done a good job. I will not spread these things indiscriminately, but I can't hide them for long. Some conflicts will still break out. Why? Qin has some influence on the main peak, and his tentacles have even reached all the peaks, and he will not let Qin Chu go. On the Qingzhou peak side, Luozhen brought Xianxia, Han Yu and Qiu Zhan to the main hall. Xianxia, please tell me about this experience. After sitting in the main seat, Luozhen spoke. Peak Master, Qin Chu is the captain of this training, so it would be more appropriate for him to report to you. After hesitating for a moment, Xianxia said. He didn't know what to say and what not to say. I am very happy that you can say that. I will only protect Qin Chu and will not harm him. Furthermore, if I ask him, he may not tell me. I don't even know what arrangements should be made, so telling the detailed story will help him, not harm him, Luozhen said to Xianxia. After hesitating for a moment, Xianxia told the story of this experience, but they really didn't know what Qin Chu had gained. They all gained after Qin Chu separated from them. The true meaning of swordsmanship, can this be confirmed? After hearing Xianxia saying that Qin Chu had understood the true meaning of swordsmanship, Luozhen became uneasy and stood up from his seat. This is what Xianxia said himself. Furthermore, my disciples have seen that the power of junior brother Qin's swordsmanship has indeed changed. It should be correct. Xianxia nodded. Okay, very good. I know it well. Besides, you don't have to worry about your friendship with Qin Chu being ruined. I will give you an explanation. He is a friend worth making, and so are the 3 of you. I am very happy to see you all working together, Luozhen said. He decided to focus on training Xianxia, Han Yu and Qiu Zhan, because the 3 of them have perseverance, which is an extremely rare quality. After letting Xianxia and the others go down, Luozhen arrived at the handyman compound and came directly to the edge of the cliff. On the edge of the cliff, Qin Chu was practicing the true meaning of swordsmanship. When he saw Luozhen arriving, Qin Chu sheathed his sword and asked Luozhen to sit down. The sword spirit realm is the condensation of spirituality, and the true meaning of the sword is the embodiment of understanding and mind. You have it all now. Luozhen said after sitting down. Does the Peak Master have something to ask Qin Chu? I think the Peak Master has already asked the 3 senior brothers. Qin Chu looked at Luozhen and said. Luozhen smiled and said, I am here to congratulate you. You have gained 3 good friends. I asked them, but they refused to tell me. I promised not to harm you, and only after understanding the specific situation can I make more changes. To protect you, they said something. The 3 of them are indeed very good. No matter how difficult the situation is, they have never given up on their companions, not even a little bit. Qianqiu nodded, and he quite agreed with Xianxia and the others. I have nothing to do when I come here. I just want to make sure that your true meaning of swordsmanship is correct. What makes me very happy is that you have indeed mastered the true meaning of swordsmanship. After Luozhen finished speaking, he turned around and left. It is enough for him that Qianqiu has mastered the true meaning of swordsmanship. Qianqiu is worthy of Qingzhou Peak and will devote all his efforts to protect him. Not to mention that Su Shanhe is the deputy sect master. Even if the sect master targets Qianqiu, he will give in half a step. Luozhen just said a few simple words and then left, which puzzled Qianqiu. He planned to chat a few more words, learn more about Luozhen as a person, and then study how to deal with Qin Wangling. Luozhen left, and Qianqiu fell into deep thought, thinking about how to deal with the Qin Wangling. In fact, he was very entangled in his heart. If he looked at the problem from the perspective that he belonged to Qin Bamboo Peak, the Qin Wangling should be given to Luozhen, but he still wanted to. It was in his best interest to deal with Mo Daozi and hand over the Qin Wang order to Mo Daozi. But in this way, he owed Luozhen a little. After thinking for a while, Qianqiu came up with a comprehensive idea, which was to hand over the Qin Wangling to Mo Daozi and implore Mo Daozi to support Luozhen. This would be the best of both worlds. Thinking that this idea was good, Qianqiu came to Mo Daozi's residence behind the library pavilion. As for intercepting him, no one was intercepting him now. What are you doing standing outside? If you don't die in King Qin's ancient ruins, come in. Mo Daozi's voice reached Qianqiu's ears. Chapter 0057 Come to ask for payment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's too rude, but what can Qianqiu say? He still has to deal with Mo Daozi, so bear with it. Qianqiu stepped into Mo Daozi's attic. Have you gained anything from going to the Qinhuang ancient ruins this time? Be honest and tell the truth, I will not take advantage of you. Mo Daozi glanced at Qianqiu and said. He knew Qianqiu. Although he was young, he was a ghost. There is a lot of arrogance. I have gained a lot. First of all, I have understood the true meaning of swordsmanship. Qianqiu said. Before he could finish speaking, Mo Daozi stood up, grabbed Qianqiu's shoulders, and lifted Qianqiu into the attic courtyard. Use your sword skills, let me see if they are the true meaning of swordsmanship. After pulling out the long sword, Qianqiu performed a basic sword technique with the blessing of the true meaning of swordsmanship. Big harvest, this is a big harvest. This time you went to Qinhuang ancient ruins, you did it right. Mo Daozi's eyes were full of sparkles, and then he returned to the attic. He was optimistic about Qianqiu, but Qianqiu didn't let him go. He was disappointed, and now his background is very deep. Qianqiu followed Mo Daozi into the attic again. Sit down. Tell me about this experience. Mo Daozi pointed to the chair opposite him in the attic. Qianqiu sat down, sorted out his words and looked at Mo Daozi. Junior wants to have a serious talk with Senior. Let's talk seriously. Do you feel confident now? Then I'll just listen and see what you want to talk about. Mo Daozi looked at Qianqiu and said. Talk about the Qin King's order. The Qin King's order is in the hands of the juniors. The juniors can also hand it over to the seniors. However, I hope that the seniors can support Master Luo of Qingzhou Peak. As a person, he is much more upright than Su Shanhe. Besides, as a Qingzhou Peak, it seems very unkind for the peak owner to not consider Qingzhou Peak, Qianqiu said while looking at Mo Daozi. The Qin Wang order, you actually got the Qin Wang order, so let me tell you. In the Qinyan sect, those who get the Qin Wang order automatically become the master of the Qin Wang order, and their status is the same as the Qinyan sect master, so I don't want this thing. Don't think about giving it to anyone, take it yourself first, and take it out to calm the situation when necessary. Mtlnovel stood up and walked around the attic hall twice. Senior, isn't this appropriate? The sect is very anxious to find the Qin Wangling, but the disciple is hiding it and keeping silent. Qin Chu thought for a moment and said, although he has selfish motives, he can't be measured in major matters. Regardless of Qinyan sect. It is very important. With the opening of the Qinwang order, the Qinyan sect's mountain protection formation is of the 6th level, which is the top among the major forces in Nanyan province. With the sect battle, the Qinyan sect's mountain gate defense has no problem, and other at that time, Qin Wangling was a symbol. Now that there is no sect war, why are you anxious? Mtlnovel glanced at Qin Chu and said. Senior said it makes sense, but have you ever thought about it? One day, the junior took out the Qin Wangling. Then what would Peak Master Luo think of the junior? He would think that the junior is very unkind, and he does not have Qingzhou Peak in his heart. He would think that the junior is a good person. Question. Qin Chu said. Mtlnovel looked at Qin Chu and said, I owe you. I will tell Master Luo Feng about this. He will not blame you. King Qin ordered you to take it with confidence. Aren't you afraid that this junior will be hacked and lose the King Qin's order? Qin Chu said with a smile. It's okay. I'm going to kill whoever kills you. Just get the King Qin's order back. Mtlnovel looked at Qin Chu with a very serious expression. You're very capable, I just didn't say the last sentence. Qin Chu extended his thumb to Mtlnovel, then turned and left. After Qin Chu left, Mtlnovel rubbed his forehead. He felt that something had almost happened. After thinking for a moment, he remembered that Qin Chu still owed him 100,000 points and had not paid back. He had forgotten such a crucial thing. It doesn't matter, go see Luozhen first, and then ask for the account. Mtlnovel got up and left the attic. Qin Chu changed some 3rd-level True Yuan pills, and after returning to the cliff, he began to practice swordsmanship. After Qin Chu practiced swordsmanship for a while, Mtlnovel and Luozhen came to the cliff. In this situation, Qin Chu could only put away his sword and ask the two of them to sit down. Qin Chu, Grand Admiral Mo has told me about the matter. I am very grateful that you can fight for the opportunity for me, and I am proud to have a disciple like you in Qingzhou Peak. Luozhen said, there are some things that he really doesn't have. Thinking about it is like not expecting Qin Chu to get the order from King Qin and fight for him in front of Mtlnovel. Where's the Qin Wang order? Show it to me. If you make a mistake, I'll kill you. Looking at Qin Chu, Mtlnovel thought that he hadn't seen the Qin Wang order in Qin Chu's hand yet. Qin Chu took out the Qin Wangling from the storage ring and handed it to Mtlnovel. Mtlnovel looked at it and nodded. This is the Qin Wang order. It is the thought of our 3rd-generation ancestor. Qin Chu, you may not know that after the senior Qin Wang was expelled from the Qinyan sect, the founder of the sect was established. The chosen heir to the sect is a disciple of senior Qin Wang. In other words, the position of the 2nd-generation patriarch is vacant. The founder of the sect is the sect leader passed down from generation to generation. He loves senior Qin Wang in his heart, but Qin Wang Sr.'s murderous nature is too serious to stay in Qinyan sect. Qin Chu boiled water to make tea and listened obediently. He didn't know these things at all. Qin Chu, I remembered something very important. Please pay back the 100,000 points you owe me as soon as possible. After talking about Qin Wangling and Qin Wang, Mtlnovel said the second thing, came to your door to demand payment. This made Qin Chu very surprised. Your Majesty Mo, you are also one of the most distinguished people in the sect. As for chasing after this junior for payment, this junior has no points. Do you want to refuse to pay back the debt? Mtlnovel's voice became louder. He had no points. Doesn't this mean that he didn't want to pay back the debt? It's not a renegade. Let's be reasonable. You, the Jingxin Sword Jew, are of no use to others, but I, Qin Chu, can carry forward your Jingxian sword Ju. In the future, all practitioners in the world will know about the Jingxian sword Ju. The prestige of your hometown is useful for you to score points, Qin Chu said. No, you have to pay the debt. Mo Daozi shook his head. He refused to accept Qin Chu's move. Junior also wants to pay off the debt, but he doesn't have points and can't even exchange for pills. Qin Chu said. Are you being shameless? Mo Daozi pointed at Qin Chu. With others, Qin Chu must have face, but in front of you, Qin Chu himself has no face. You can just scold him, right? Qin Chu decided not to repay the debt. Anyway, Mo Daozi was more hopeful. He is powerful, otherwise he would not be allowed to hold the Qing Wang token. Mo Daozi reached out and touched Qin Chu. He didn't know what to say. Qin Chu refused to return the favor, so what could he do? After a moment of silence, Mo Daozi smiled. You're not kind, aren't you? Then don't blame me for being unkind. If you want to do anything with me in the future, you won't be able to do anything with me. Qin Chu's eyes turned blue. He had to find Mo Daozi to deduce his life experience and what happened 15 years ago. What would Mo Daozi do regardless? Chapter 0058 can change. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Senior, isn't this appropriate? I still know some things in the Qinhuang ancient ruins, but forget it. Qin Chu thought for a moment and said, after listening to Qin Chu's words, Mo Daozi was stunned. Qin Chu's backup plan caught him off guard. He had never been to the Qinhuang ancient ruins. When the Qinhuang ancient ruins was opened, he had just entered Qingyun's sect and had cultivated it was still very low, but when it opened up again, his cultivation had exceeded it too much. Luozhen didn't speak. He knew that there was something between Qin Chu and Mo Daozi that he didn't know about. Qin Chu, when are the points convenient for you and when are they still useful? Mo Daozi said with a smile. Senior, you won't shirk the junior's affairs, and you won't do anything unjust, right? Qin Chu looked at Mo Daozi and asked about Mo Daozi's attitude. Mo Daozi nodded and helped Qin Chu deduce what happened 15 years ago. He had no intention of going back on his word. I have seen the soul body of Senior King Qin. He is still alive, but I don't know the details. This junior got his sword. Qin Chu said. After hearing Qin Chu's words, both Mo Daozi and Luozhen were shocked, because they, let alone them, the disciples of the Qingyun sect in the past dynasties thought that King Qin had fallen. Now that Qin Chu said that he had not fallen, then in these countless years what's the situation if none of them died? It is a very high realm and extraordinary cultivation. You got his old man's sword, but what about his inheritance? Luozhen looked at Qin Chu and asked. I didn't get it. He said I'm not suitable for his swordsmanship. Qin Chu said. He didn't say anything about Shang Shuyu. It was Shang Shuyu's secret. If others didn't tell him, he couldn't talk loudly. Mo Daozi and Qin Chu didn't say anything else. Inheritance really depends on fate. After staying at Qin Chu's place for a while, Mo Daozi and Luozhen left. After drinking a glass of water, Qin Chu continued to practice swordsmanship. Now that he has entered the third level of true energy realm, he can release his energy, and the power of his swordsmanship is no longer what it used to be. After practicing until dark, Qin Chu began to meditate and cultivate his vitality. Yuanqi is the foundation of a cultivator and must be improved through hard work. In the main hall of the main peak, Su Shanhe was sitting in the main seat, Zhang Ji was sitting on the side, and Qian Qing was also there. The three of them looked bad. According to Qianluofeng Lu Shui's words, Lu Nan and others met Qin Chu and others when they were chasing her, so the battle was inevitable. They must have died in Qin Chu's hands. Zhang Ji said. There are 2 swords on Qin Chu's back. He had one before entering the Qinhuang ancient ruins. He should have got it in the Qinhuang ancient ruins. It is not an ordinary item. Su Shanhe's eyes were sinister. Looking at the sword hilt, I fell in love with Qingling's sword. Qian Qing stood up and left the hall. He must die. I will send people to keep an eye on him. As long as he leaves Qingzhou Peak, he will be unlucky. The Qian dynasty is the ruler of this area. Except for a few major forces whose status is aloof, the lives and deaths of countless people are under the control of the Qian dynasty. A garbage handyman is challenging him. This is something Qian Qing cannot accept and tolerate. He must kill Qin Chu. Because of the early Qin dynasty, he lost a lot of manpower in the Qinyan sect. Lu Nan and Lu Zhe died successively, which put his cooperative relationship with Qianlu City into a deadlock unless he married another woman from the Lu family. Deputy sect leader, now Luozhen is clearly challenging our main peak and letting Qin Chu do whatever he wants. That means he has the upper hand, so Qin Chu must die. Zhang Ji said. Things are not easy to handle. Qin Chu is already at the 3rd level of cultivation. The 3rd level disciples of the main peak are no match for him. The 4th level core disciples of the main peak have no suitable reason to take action. Su Shanhe also wanted Qin Chu to die. But now there is no suitable opportunity to start. Then just wait, the opportunity will come. He is not a safe guy. Zhang Ji said. Qin Chu's life became stable, and he stayed on the edge of the cliff every day to practice hard, cultivating his vitality and practicing his sword skills. At the beginning and end of the month, Qin Chu would still do missions. Now he was taking on 3rd level and 4th level missions, earning points very quickly. The missions at Qingzhou Peak were not enough, so he went to the main peak to sweep up the merit hall. On this day, Qin Chu came back from the meritorious hall of Qingzhou Peak and saw Shang Shuyu in a white skirt at the door of the servant compound. Why is the beauty standing here? Qin Chu was a little puzzled. Shang Shuyu was the genius of the main peak, so it was a bit unreasonable to come to the handyman compound. I'm here to find you, won't you invite me in? Shang Shuyu spoke, looking at Qin Chu with his beautiful eyes. She hadn't seen Qin Chu for nearly 3 months. She found that Qin Chu's momentum and aura were different from before. Some changes. Nodding, Qin Chu took Shang Shuyu into the courtyard of the handyman. Under the surprised eyes of the servant disciples, he led Shang Shuyu to the edge of the cliff. After asking Shuyu to sit down, Qin Chu boiled water and prepared to make tea. In Qinyan sect, the handyman disciples did not have tea to drink, but Qin Chu was not an ordinary handyman disciple. At Qingzhou Peak, the inner disciples would greet Qin Chu when they saw him. I will leave later. Shang Shuyu looked at Qin Chu and said. Leave, your family's seniors have come to pick you up. Qin Chu looked at Shang Shuyu and asked. Shang Shuyu nodded, yes, so before I leave, I came to see you. In Qinyan sect, it is rare to have competitors and people who are pleasing to the eye, but you are leaving soon. It is a pity. Qin Chu sighed. He was speaking from his heart. The only disciple of the main peak is Uncle Shang. You can make him feel the pressure, but other people, he doesn't feel it at all. There is no other way. Maybe if I have time and convenience, I will come to Qinyan sect again to see your swordsmanship growth. Shang Shuyu looked at Qin Chu and said. I don't know how long I will stay in Qinyan sect. No matter how long I grow, I will also go out for a walk. Qin Chu said, he had to go out for a walk, because Mo Daozi helped him deduce what happened 15 years ago. If something happens, he will go looking for his life experience. You want to leave Qinyan sect too? Shang Shuyu looked at Qin Chu in surprise. Qin Chu nodded. In the Qinhuang ancient ruins, I told you something. I was dug out of the grave, and my chest was pierced by a long sword. My family thought I was dead and buried me. But why was my chest stabbed? Why did my family think I was dead? If it wasn't because someone wanted to kill me, I still want to know what my family is like. Senior Qin Wang said that you have the holy blood in your body. This is a clue. But when it comes to the holy blood family, it's no small matter. You have to be careful. Shang Shuyu said to Qin Chu. Qin Chu smiled and said, thank you, I will, and the same goes for you. You must have had no choice but to leave your family to practice in Qinyan sect, but I believe that as long as you want to change, you can change. There is nothing you can't do. Chapter 0059 Ignore the Mortal World. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Shang Shuyu looked at Qin Chu and said, "Thank you. I don't believe in fate. This is also the reason why I left the family." The water boiled, and Qin Chu made a cup of tea for Shang Shuyu. He didn't know what to say. Shang Shuyu put a lot of pressure on him, but he was still a little disappointed when he suddenly had to leave. "I have heard and seen many geniuses, but I feel in my heart that they are not as good as you. If you keep going, you will have a different sky. Don't let the things in front of you limit your steps." Shang Shuyu took a sip of tea. Standing up, she came to see Qin Chu before leaving. "I understand. If we are destined to meet again, right?" Qin Chu also stood up. Shang Shuyu smiled and nodded, then turned and left. Qin Chu kept sending Shang Shuyu away from the handyman compound. "Sister Shangshu, you actually have a beautiful smile." Qin Chu stopped and looked at Shang Shuyu's back and shouted. Shang Shuyu paused for a moment, then left Qingzhou Peak. Qin Chu returned to the cliff and poured himself a pot of tea, when Bai Yu came. "Uncle and senior sister are so beautiful. You have to take action when you should. Don't let others get there first. I heard that this is what Xianxia means." After Bai Yu sat down, he poured himself a cup of tea. "Xianxia, he is just trash and not worthy at all," Qin Chu said after taking a sip of water. "We know he is trash, but he doesn't know it himself. The toad wants to eat swan meat. The toad never feels that he is not qualified," Bai Yu said. "Hey! No chance. Shang Shuyu is leaving. She came here to say goodbye." Qin Chu sighed and said. Bai Yu was stunned for a moment. He didn't understand what was going on. Qin Chu told Bai Yu some things about Shang Shuyu. "She is too dazzling. She really doesn't match the Qinyan sect. It turns out she is from outside," Bai Yu said with some emotion. Shang Shuyu left. Except for a few people, other disciples of Qinyan sect did not know. Life was still the same as before. Qin Chu is practicing hard every day, and he is also very anxious in his heart. If he does not become stronger, even if he knows the news about his life experience, he will not have the ability to find it. Both Mo Daozi and Shang Shuyu have emphasized the importance of the Holy Blood family. Horrible, Qin Chu didn't know what the concept of holy blood was, but the power of his body was still increasing, and the strength of his body was also increasing. When fighting monsters in Miyan Mountain, even if he was injured, he could recover quickly. He felt that this has something to do with his body, and it also has something to do with the nameless mental method that the old man gave him. After handing in another task, Qin Chu's points once again passed the threshold of 100,000, reaching 110,000. After changing some true essence pills, Qin Chu thought for a while and came to the kitchen of Qingzhou Peak. "Is there any good wine?" "Qin Chu, if you need some wine, just call someone to let him know," the waiter in the kitchen said as he took out 2 jars of wine for Qin Chu from the cabinet. "Thank you." Qin Chu took out a gold leaf and handed it to the waiter in the kitchen. The waiter in the kitchen delayed for a while before accepting it. "Qin Tu, you can buy all kinds of things in Qinyan town down the mountain. If Qin Tu needs it, just let him know. There is a town at the foot of Qinyan sect. The town is not small in size. It can be said to be a small town and relatively prosperous. However, the handyman disciples rarely go there and there is no money, so what is the use of going there? It has been a year and a half since Qin Chu came to Qinyan sect, and he has never been to Qinyan town. He has fought many battles and captured a lot of trophies, including a lot of gold and silver, but he has been busy practicing and has neglected the world of mortals." Carrying the wine jar, he arrived at the library, left a jar of wine for Ling Yunzi, and then went to the attic where Mo Daozi lived. "Not bad. I have grown taller and my energy is good." After looking at Qin Chu, Mo Daozi pointed to a chair beside him. Qin Chu put the wine on the table beside Mtlnovel and then sat down. You have become more sensible. Have you had any problems with your cultivation recently? Mtlnovel looked at Qin Chu and asked. There's no problem. I just feel like I haven't seen my senior for a while, so I came here to have a look. Qin Chu said. You work hard, I know that, but you have to do it slowly, there is no point in being impatient. Mtlnovel said. He arranged for Lu Yuan to pay attention to Qin Chu's movements, so he knew everything about Qin Chu's situation. Qin Chu took out his points card and pushed it in front of Mtlnovel. This disciple is also here to pay off the debt. Aren't you very reluctant to give up the points? I also told you to pay them back when it's convenient for you. Mtlnovel was a little surprised when Qin Chu took the initiative to pay back the debt. If you want to return it, it's convenient at any time. If you don't want to return it, it will always be inconvenient. Qin Chu said with a smile. Mtlnovel pushed the points card back to Qin Chu. Points are not important to me, but I don't want to be cheated or hacked inexplicably. Do you understand? I don't need the points, but if you don't give them, I am not happy. Qin Chu smiled and said, Thank you very much, senior. I'm asking you to pay the debt because I hope you can take some pressure off and have the motivation to make progress. Mtlnovel said the reason why he wanted to pay the debt. After hearing the reasons explained by Mtlnovel, Qin Chu felt that he had underestimated him. After communicating with Mtlnovel for a while, Qin Chu left. He came to see Mtlnovel and pay off the debt. After Qin Chu left, Ling Yunzi came to Mtlnovel's attic. Senior brother, that boy is very sensible. Yes. What a great talent, and a rare good temperament. Mtlnovel nodded. Senior brother, let's discuss it. If you don't accept him as a disciple, why don't you give him to your junior brother? Ling Yunzi looked at Mtlnovel and said, snapped. Mtlnovel reached out and slapped the table, don't even think about it. Brother Wei doesn't accept him as his disciple because he doesn't want to influence his path, not because he doesn't want to. I know you won't agree, senior brother. That girl Xianxia is gone, and junior brother feels a little empty in his heart. Ling Yunzi said. That girl is not an ungrateful person. She will come back in the future. But we should pay attention to the movements of the Blood Knife sect. Mtlnovel said. Those bastards are indeed ready to make a move. Ling Yunzi nodded. After leaving the library pavilion, Qin Chu returned to the cliff of Qingzhou Peak to continue practicing. Qin Chu was practicing that day, and Bai Yu ran to the edge of the cliff panting, Boss, this is fun, let's go quickly. What's going on? After sheathing his sword, Qin Chu wiped his hands with a towel and said. The disciples of the Blood Knife sect, under the leadership of the sect elders, challenged our Qingyun sect disciples in the square in front of the main peak hall. 2 inner disciples of the main peak have been killed. Let's go and take a look. Bai Yu said to him. Qin Chu said, at this time, in the square in front of the Qingyun hall, the 2 groups of people looked at each other. There were pools of blood in the square, which were left by the disciples of the Qingyun sect who had been killed. Qingyun sect, no one. If you admit that you can't do it, then I will stop challenging. A young man wearing a blood-colored robe looked at the disciples of Qingyun sect and said. Look for Qin Chu, hurry up and find Qin Chu. A disciple from the first peak shouted to those around him. Chapter 0060 Just a Scumbag. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. Qin Chu. At the critical moment, when the inner disciples of the main peak were unable to withstand the situation, many people thought of Qin Chu, but then many people thought about whether Qin Chu would go to war. Qin Chu has been targeted all the time. Furthermore, Qin Chu is not an inner disciple and has no such obligation. This time the genius of the Blood Knife sect is an inner disciple who wants to challenge the Qingyun sect by name. We can do it without him. I'll fight. A disciple from the main peak stood up. Draw out the sword, otherwise you won't have a chance to draw the sword. The young man in the bloody robe from the Blood Knife sect said. The disciples of the main peak took action. At this time, the The young man in the blood-colored robe waved his right hand, and the sword on his back was unsheathed. A cold light flashed through, and the inner disciples of the main peak were slashed to the point where they could not stop retreating. The disciples of the Blood Knife sect came closer and slashed with their sabers. The third sword cut off the long sword of the inner disciple of the main peak, and pierced the inner disciple's chest with one knife. At this time, everyone from the other 6 peaks of Xianxia sect arrived. Seeing this scene, everyone was very angry. "Trash, you are all trash." The disciple of the Blood Knife sect sheathed his sword. At this time, the expressions of the disciples of Xianxia sect changed. "What is the situation now? I was slapped in the face by someone coming to my door. Chenduo of Xianxia Peak, tell me your name." An inner disciple of Xianxia Peak stood up. "Blood Knife sect, inner disciple Zhou Xian." Zhou Xian, a disciple of the Blood Knife sect wearing a blood-colored robe, finished speaking and drew his sword to kill. Chenduo was very strong, but after fighting for several rounds, he was knocked upside down by Chenduo's sword and fell to the ground. He fell in front of the Qingzhou Peak troops. Xianxia helped Chenduo up and pushed Chenduo to the ground. Duo protected behind him. After looking at Xianxia, Han Yu and Qiu Zhan, Zhou Xian retreated. He did not want to be attacked by a group of people. At this time, disciples from other peaks came out to fight. Qin Chu and Bai Yu came to the main peak square and watched the situation from a side position. Bai Yu also told Qin Chu about the situation of the Blood Knife sect. The Blood Knife sect is one of the major forces surrounding the Xianxia sect. It used to be inferior to the Xianxia sect in terms of strength, but in the past 100 years the Blood Knife sect has become very powerful and has already overwhelmed the Xianxia sect. The Blood Knife sect and another force, the Wolf King Palace, have always wanted to take over the Xianxia sect and carve up the Xianxia sect's power territory, but they have never been able to do so. After all, the Xianxia sect has been inherited for a long time and has a relatively deep foundation. Disciples from the inner sect of the Xianxia sect continue to fight, but they were constantly defeated and killed. Qin Chu frowned when he saw it. The inner disciples of Xianxia sect were indeed in a bad situation. Zhou Xian also kept yelling and cursing, which made Qin Chu feel very uncomfortable, but he was a handyman disciple, and since they didn't say anything about him, he didn't answer. After fighting for a while, another inner disciple of the Xianxia sect was defeated. Su Shanhe looked at the Qingzhou Peak camp and said, "During the Civil War, you didn't win the second place on the list and the first place on the list. Where are you now?" Qin Chu cursed rubbish in his heart. He didn't know how Su Shanhe became the deputy sect leader. His character was too low, and now he was playing tricks to divert trouble. "I'll fight." Lu Shui from Qianluo Peak stood up. She was the top-ranked inner disciple in the ranking battle. "We need to take a break. You can't fight in circles, right?" The leader of the Blood Knife sect, a woman wearing a bloody skirt, said. She is the elder of the Blood Knife clan, Blood Rakshasa Su Shui. When Qin Chu was sizing up the Blood Knife clan woman, Han Jihua from the Qingzhou Peak Merit Hall came to Qin Chu's side. Qin Chu nodded to law enforcement Han. He knew that since he dared to knock on the door, he was confident. After Zhou Xian recovered for a while, he started fighting with Lu Shui. Lu Shui's Qianluo sword technique is very powerful. She has now reached the 3rd level of cultivation and can become a core disciple at any time. However, when fighting Zhou Xian, she is still suppressed at every turn and can only passively defend. Qin Chu saw the reason. Zhou Xian's body was full of killing intent, which showed that Zhou Xian came out of the killing and was much more experienced than Lu Shui, who was cultivating safely in the sect. Boom. With Zhou Xian's hard slash, Lu Shui's body was thrown away and fell to Qin Chu's side. Bai Yu stepped forward and helped Lu Shui up. Qin Chu looked at Zhou Xian who was chasing him. At this time, all the disciples of Xianxia sect saw Qin Chu and shouted Qin Chu's name. "Stand back and find someone else." Qin Chu looked at Zhou Xian and said, he didn't want to be the first person. It's not that Qin Chu has backed down. If it's a matter about Qingzhou Peak, that's no problem. But if he doesn't want to deal with Xianxia sect's matters, then the deputy sect master is here. At this time, the Blood Rakshasa from the Blood Knife sect came towards this side and said, "You shouldn't block the road." They are fighting fair, and everyone is determined to live or die according to their destiny. This is the Qinyan sect. It's not your turn to say what should be done or not. Are you right, Deputy Sect Leader Su? Qin Chu looked at Su Shanhe. Wouldn't you be able to divert trouble to the east? I, Qin Chu, can do it too. Looking at Qin Chu, Su Shanhe greeted Qin Chu's 8 generations of ancestors in his heart. He wanted Qingzhou Peak and Luozhen to stand up, but now Qin Chu has put the fire on him. If he doesn't stand up, the deputy sect leader's face will be ruined. It fell to the ground. Elder Su, this battle is over, don't worry anymore, you can move on to the next one. Su Shanhe said. Stop worrying. Do you, Su Shanhe, have the confidence to say this? After the disciples finish fighting, I will fight to the death with you. Shui Rosa Su Shui looked at Su Shanhe and said, she looked down on her in her heart. There are many reasons why Su Shanhe can be the deputy sect leader of Qinyan sect. He cannot be convinced by the public within the sect, and not many people think highly of him outside. Su Shanhe didn't answer, which made Luo Zhen, Lei Yin and other peak masters look disappointed. At such a critical time, Su Shanhe couldn't get hard. Zhou Xian, go on. Let the people of Nanyanzu see that the Qinyan sect has declined and there is no future for joining the Qinyan sect. Su Shui said. Su Shui's words were very offensive. If the inner disciples of the Qinyan sect could not defeat Zhou Xian, then what Su Shui said was the truth, which would make the Qinyan sect's disciples lose their faith. Garbage, you are all garbage. The sword in Zhou Xian's hand pointed in the direction of the main peak hall, which is the area where the main peak disciples are located. The inner disciples at the main peak looked ugly. They wanted to fight, but they couldn't. And you are all rubbish too. The disciples of the main peak did not speak. Zhou Xian's sword drew an arc, and finally pointed at Qin Chu and Bai Yu. Mainly Qin Chu and Bai Yu stood beside Lu Shui from Qianluo Peak. Qin Chu shook his head. You made a fatal mistake. You pointed at them and called them trash. That doesn't matter. But you shouldn't point your sword at me and call me trash, do you understand? Qin Chu. The disciples of Qingzhou Peak began to shout. Along with the disciples of Qingzhou Peak, the disciples of Qianluo Peak also started shouting. Su Shui frowned. This was the second time she heard Qin Chu called by a disciple of the Qinyan sect. Who are you? Zhou Xian also felt something was wrong, because no disciple of the Qinyan sect had ever shouted when he went into battle. I don't have any identity. I'm just a handyman disciple of Qinyan sect. Draw your sword. Qin Chu looked at Zhou Xian and said very calmly. He had killed many 4th-level monsters, and 3rd-level elites. That scum.